afternoon. Thank you for being here today and welcome to Atlanta Technical College in our 2023 Black History program. So one of the things about being here at Atlanta Tech, one of our main missions is around economic mobility. And so as we were thinking about the program for this year, we talk a lot about civil rights and racism, but the impact of racism is really around economics and community. So I'm gonna give you a homework assignment. I want you to go back and look up the Black Wall Street and that massacre. But that's an example of, again, what Black communities have done and have the power to do. And so as I was thinking about that, the great Mr. Mack Wilbourn came to mind, and you'll get into a little bit more of his story. But I'm excited to bring this program to you. I want to say a special thank you to our students, Ms. Anderson and Ms. Marks, for being part of the conversation, and for the host with the most, Mr. Antonio Hicks, who's with PTGtv. And so with that, Mr. Hicks, thank you for being here.
Thank you again, Dr. Seals, for inviting me here today. I really do appreciate you and for having this honor to be up here and speak to the students and to the staff. I want to say, too, that this is an exceptional institution. I want to thank everybody that's in here, including the students, for doing what you do around the community, for taking part in this organization, and for the professors for actually, being a professor and teaching the new minds of tomorrow. As far as myself, like Dr. Seals say, I'm Antonio Hicks. I am the owner and founder of PTGtv, also of my other business, Engineering Tomorrow. My skills by trade, I'm gonna get to you, Mr. Wilbourn. My skills by trade, I'm a network security engineer. So I'm an engineer by trade. I love security. I love anything with networking and technology. I'm always excited for the new things that's coming out and for the new things that's to come. I got involved with doing community service work while I started my career back in 2000, becoming the vice president of our local North Lake Pioneers at Bell South, where I helped out with the local schools and doing mentoring with our youth and cleaning up around our school areas out in DeKalb County. From there, I worked with United Way. And then fast forward later on in my career, I got involved with politics because growing up here, I'm born and raised here in Georgia. I come from out of Macon. I grew up here in Stone Mountain. But I got involved with politics because I started seeing a lot of things that I struggled with and went through in my own community, how they have not been fixed. And we still had the same elected officials sitting in place. So I got involved with the community to try to help out, do what I can, because the neighborhoods I grew up in were now going downhill. And even myself, I had to leave the area because crime was picking up. So one thing I always like to tell a lot of people is, like, the only way you can make change, you have to get involved and try to make the change from the inside out. You can't just sit back and complain from the sidelines or have your Twitter fingers going off online, but you don't actually get involved and try to make any change or do any volunteer work. And so I got involved with that. I ran for office a couple of times for Congress out in Georgia's Congressional District 4. And if you don't know what Congressional District 4 is, it's in Rockdale, DeKalb County, and a couple other counties out there. I think they've changed it up now because they've redistricted everything. And then throughout the pandemic, I created PTGtv. And I created PTGtv as Politics, Technology, and Gaming because while I was volunteering, I saw a lot of people didn't know how to read bills. They didn't understand about new policies and how to understand how they would impact the community. A lot of people don't understand a lot about technology because a lot of us are just users. We don't understand how we can use that technology to advance us and advance our families going forward. And then the gaming part, I'm just a gamer. I'm a gamer, I'm a nerd by trade, but I still think that all of it's kind of intertwined together because even in life, we have games that we have to play. Politics is involved in everything we do. I don't care if it's relationships. I don't care if it's your relationships at church. I don't care if it's your spouses. There's always some political talk in there. So even when I'm talking about politics, I'm not just strictly talking about like political politics, like policies and things that you vote for. I'm talking about things that you just technically have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's why technology is involved with that too. And I created Engineering Tomorrow because in my belief, I want to see tomorrow re-engineered. I'm tired of the constructs that we have today. I want to get past, because we're celebrating Black History Month, I want to get past the diversity. I want to get past the inclusion that we have to where we can advance the human species as a whole, to where we can see what evolution is like and how we can move ahead within our own personal communities and our own personal lives, as opposed to being so divisive and combating one another. So, that's a little bit about my background and who I am. I'm honored to introduce this young man next to me. And I had to call him a young man because I have to respect my elders. Because coming from the South, you have to respect your serious people because, they hold all the knowledge that you don't see in the libraries, which is why it's important to always stay involved and talk to the seasoned individuals out there because they have things that you won't be able to pick up online. So who this young man next to me is this Mr. Mack Wilbourn. He has been the owner and president of Mack 2 Inc., a quick service restaurant management company since 1971. His current franchises include Atlanta Bread and Bar, Baja Fresh Mexican, Familiar Pizza, Phillips Seafood, Popeyes, and We Juice It, which are all located in Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, one of the largest airports in the world. Mr. Wilbourn is also the managing partner of MWJ LLC, a vending company in Atlanta, Georgia. He has managed the Coca-Cola vending locations throughout the Atlanta airport since 2004. Mr. Wilbourn also started an angel investment firm where he focuses on startup businesses that could potentially compete on the next level with the proper strategy, strategic resources, and guidance. This firm also serves as an outlet for vetting potential businesses deals for his portfolio. Mack Wilbourn also recently launched the McKinley Mack Wilbourn Jr. Legacy Foundation, which is the mission of the foundation is to transform, inspire, and provide opportunities for the undeserved in the following areas of arts and culture, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. His vision is to revolutionize the outlook and provide life-changing opportunities for the marginalized community. For more than 5 decades, Mr. Wilbourn has wielded the mantle of change. The launching of his Legacy Foundation bears the mark of the next steps in his journey of service to the community. To fulfill this vision, it's time to partner with him, roll up our sleeves, and let's get back to work. But also, I got to give you some more flowers. Mr. Wilbourn also has done like community service work outside of that. So he's had, outside of his philanthropy work, he's worked with longtime politicians. He's hosted 4 Democratic presidents. I don't know if y'all know that. Jimmy Carter, bless Jimmy Carter right now, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. He's also hosted VP Harris and President Biden when he was in the office of VP at his home. In addition, he has hosted key leaders in Atlanta, Georgia, dating back to Mayor Maynard Jackson, and Ambassador Andrew Young. So thank you, Mr. Wilbourn, for all you do, and thank you for being a guest here today. So I guess one of the first questions I want to get to, with you doing all of your community service work, is your mic on? You gonna do mic check?
Mic check.
So growing up during the civil rights era, how in your eyes were you able to defy the odds and get into business facing so much adversity?
Well, it starts out like this. I'm in Arkansas. I was born in Arkansas. My mother and her siblings, she had 4 other brothers. And my grandmother and my grandfather had separated. And so she moved us to a little town in Louisiana, and she starts farming. And I would be on the back of the sack where they were picking cotton when I was 5 years old. And they still laugh at me because I weaned my own self off the bottle. I took my bottle and threw it across the street. And they said, if you don't go get it, we're not gonna go get it. And they didn't, and I didn't. That's how I got off the bottle, okay? And then my mother gets married, she moves out, I stay with my grandmother. And then we moved back to Arkansas from Louisiana, and I'm living with my grandmother. So by the time I became the 10th grade, my mother every summer would go to Arizona to visit her siblings, her father and other siblings that had moved to Tucson, Arizona. And so after that, I asked my mother and my grandmother if I could go and stay with them in Arizona, because I wanted to go to the University of Arizona. And I had figured out in the 9th grade that I needed to be there by the 11th grade to not pay out-of-state tuition. So they said, okay. So I went to live with an uncle and aunt that didn't have any kids. That was kind of my rule. And, and she was a maid. He was training in an upholstery shop. They worked for a couple. So they'd go to work every morning. He dropped me off at school at Tucson High. So I go from a class of 21 to a class of 360 kids in Tucson, Arizona. And I'd come home in the afternoon, school's out. I'd come home, I'd cook dinner. She was a maid, he worked in the upholstery shop. But we became a team. So when they get home at 5:30, I'd have dinner ready. He would go in the garage after dinner in moonlight. She would clean up, and I would play like I was doing homework. Well, maybe. Anyway, and then from there, we just grew as a family. And then after graduating from Tucson High, it was 360 kids in my class. And at the end of 2 years, everybody still knows me. And my name right now and picture is on the wall. And I graduated at the bottom of the class, no lie, bottom. And I go from there to LA to live with another uncle and aunt to go to LA Junior College because I said to myself I wasn't ready for the University of Arizona. So I go to the LA Junior College on Melrose in LA. Live with another uncle and aunt. They didn't have any kids. Anyway, then I didn't do well in that. So then I go back to Arizona and I check into the University of Arizona. Show you how big my head is. And I go for a year and a half, and the dean calls me in and says, it's March, so if you don't get your grades up by May, I'm not gonna let you come back in September. I said, Dean, no offense, Dean, I'm leaving today. I left that day, went back, packed my bags, went back to LA. A friend of mine had a Jack in the Box in Watts. He gave me a job sweeping the parking lot, working the grill. I fell in love with it. So if you could do $99 drive-through and the window and get a girl's phone number, your name went on the wall. So I passed all them tests. And from there, I decided, I looked around and said, okay, I am in love with fast food. McDonald's was #1, and I wanted to be with the #1 company. I always liked being with the best. So I looked around, and at that moment, there were no black operators. There was no blacks in McDonald's. But what happened is, after the late, great Martin Luther King was assassinated, there was a Reverend Rabbit in Cleveland, Ohio, that started burning McDonald's down in the black community and told Ray Kroc, said, if you don't let us in, we're gonna burn them all down. Ray said, okay, hold up, I get it. And that's how we were able to get in as Afro-Americans into McDonald's. And then as as black operators came in across the country, we started our own organization because we were working to get people, like there was no black advertising at that time. We were able to get a guy by the name of Tom Burrell in Chicago into marketing, and then he ended up with the Coca-Cola contract. And we did things like Ebony Jet, Black Enterprise. They didn't do magazines. They didn't believe, McDonald's at that time didn't believe in magazines. We took the marketing people around to the beauty shops and the barber shops and showed them how people sit there. And we said, those are eyeballs. And that's how we were able to get them to let us advertise in that.
So working at Jack in the Box, so what made you want to get into business though? Like, was there something always a passion of yours, or you just saw an opportunity?
I wanted to be my own boss.
So you didn't want to work for nobody else?
Well, I mean, and I wanted to grow. I mean, I wanted to be in business. that was easy. But at the same time, when I left Jack in the Box, the other thing is credit. I figured out I worked 2 jobs. I saved one check, and as it would rise in volume of dollars, I'd turn around and borrow against that. So that's how I built my credit. So when I got ready to go into business, I needed a partner. I found a college mate who had, and then Ray Kroc had one other rule. You had to be married in order to be a franchisee. Even though he ended up taking one of the operator's wives, but that's another story. uh, uh, so in building my credit, I was able to borrow my max, and that's what I used to go in business. It was building that credit, and then my partner was a pro football player that I went and found. I mean, we both left college, so he had went pro. So and he was married, so he killed those two status, and he had a little money, you know. So you have to put all those things together as you're moving to make your move.
So we're talking about Black Wall Street and it being Black History Month. Did you face any adversity being one of the first Black-owned McDonald's from other communities?
No. Because what we did is, after that, they needed Black operators because Ray Kroc, he got the message. And so we had a choice of Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Boston. And when I didn't like cold weather, he didn't, and we were both from the South, I knowed how to say yowsome and nosum and all that, so I felt very comfortable coming back to the South. So we opened the first store up on Gordon Street. It was Gordon Street in Straff David Avenue, now 1166 West End. And Maynard Jackson was vice mayor. He came and cut the ribbon. Then that's how I ended up getting to know him. And we then hired his law firm because corporate had sent us to Buckhead. But we ended up at the Equitable Building with the Jackson law firm. And from there, we became involved in the community, period. Because we go into the schools, all of that.
So how important is it to get involved in the community, especially when you have a business operating in the community that you're trying to serve?
Well, I mean, that's so simple. If you need a business license, you need water, you need trash picked up, but you probably have a private company picking up your trash. But it's those things that are going on. But we did other things. We went in the community. We used to take a cash draw to students in class. This is for computers. Teaching them how, if I gave you $1 and the order was 47 cents, for you to be able to give me 2 quarters and 3 pennies back. That's how deep we went into the community, into the school, to teach kids how to count money. I know y'all can't believe that, but that was a part of how deep we went into the community.
So for McDonald's, what was your next venture?
Well, I grew. Oh, the other side is, you have to understand this too. You say McDonald's, whole bit, but I'm one of the most blessed people you'll ever meet. 15 guns right here. Stewart Avenue, Venetian Drive, Gordon Street, Canada Road. I was personally robbed. One at Venetian was 9 in the morning, was a machine gun. He pulled out my trench coat. So that's what you have to go. So when I got my little ass in the airport, I was like, bye streets. I am not going back, you know. Yeah, I mean, I was gone. I mean, it's really sad. From there, I've just been involved, to go deep in politics. Maynard asked me to help with the project. We had 21 counties that had 60% Afro-Americans and no representation. Out of 140 counties, 60 of them was 60% us, and we had no representation. Wasn't a city councilman. So what back to your thing is, if you sleep, you lose out all the way around. And so that's what I learned, because, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get on my high horse about politics. But it is good to get involved because, like I was saying, is if you volunteer and you know what's going on around your area and you know how to find other employees too.
Right. The other thing is, my first morning here, when I went by Pascal's, they were booked. So I ended up at I-75 in Howell Mill. There was a Hotel 6. They just tore it down not long ago.
Now, how long ago was this?
71, when I was.
They let y'all know how long Pascal's been around if y'all don't know about Pascal's.
I walked out my room that morning, and back then, y'all are not gonna believe this, the garbage collectors had, you know how far some homes sit back? The garbage collectors had to get off the truck, walk to the back, put that barrel on their back, bring that trash out and dump it, and then take the empty trash can back, and then go back and get on the truck and go to the next house. So what?
They will drive past your house nowadays.
You gotta have the trash on the curb.
But think about how much labor, how much that was costing the city. And Maynard changed that immediately and then put in a lot of other things, but yeah.
So how important was it for you to, I'm sorry, you going to ask a question? To get involved and help Maynard Jackson out on his political run?
It was a natural. It was easy. I mean, I saw what he was doing as mayor, and I saw what he was doing as mayor, and it was very positive. And that was, after that, Tom Bradley became mayor of LA, and some of the things he was doing, and it just spread it. Yeah.
I have a question on your expertise with franchises. As students at different ages and stages of life, what would be like a basic strategy while you're working in a student to start setting a goal of opening a franchise or getting yours?
No, what you want to do at any point of going into business, you want to find something that you like, you can be passionate about, and that you can make money. If you don't like it, it doesn't like you, I don't see how you succeed. And that was what my first love was, is that I enjoyed it. And then from there, I fell in love with real estate. I play around with real estate on the commercial side. I'm not gonna do no houses or apartments, because when your son break the window out and you call me, and I gotta go,
You gotta go fix it.
I gotta go fix it. But if it's a commercial building and your equipment and things in there, you're not gonna wait me to fix it. You're gonna fix it quick. And I might end up paying you, but I'm just saying that's the difference.
So how hard was it for you to establish a McDonald's? What was that process like?
Well, we had to go through. What happened is they were looking for operators, so we went. Brad Hubbard and I, we went and filled out the paperwork. They interviewed us. They told us where they had availability. We chose. He flew here and looked at the location. It was a brand new location. And I came one-way ticket. Travis, I tell you, I still have my suitcase that I came with.
Do you still use it?
No, I don't use it, but I got it.
So did you start off with a conventional loan, or it was money that you all had saved up?
Money was saved up, but at the same time, some franchises have what they call a lease with an option to buy. So you go in and manage it, and then you build your money up and buy it. You know,
Is that specifically for McDonald's or franchises in general?
franchises. Well, that has changed. So now you need some money. That system has really changed.
And
But you have SBA and all of that. It's like I've been blessed. I'm on the bank board. Little boy from Arkansas picking cotton now, and the bank is in Buckhead. I was like, what? But I have the same banker. That's another thing is, I have the same banker I've had for 35 years. And I've followed him to different banks. Now, I do bank at some other banks, but he and I have continued. And there have been times when he has taken me to dinner with the president of the bank and the chairman, and I get a loan on the spot because of what he knew of my work ethics and what I had done over the years with him. So you have to build those relationships and have the credibility. If you don't have that credibility with them, they're not going to go out on the limb for you. I've had, in the last 2 years, if you can believe this, where he actually turned me, we're in a commercial for the whole bank right now on TV. He turned me down for a loan. He helped me get the largest loan I ever had to build 8 restaurants and 20 vending locations at the airport without any paperwork, so it can be done. But 2 years ago, I went and I said, I want to buy these buildings downtown. He said, no. The chairman and the president and him and I were having dinner a few nights later. They said, figure it out, and he did. So it can happen.
So can you speak on your mindset as you transition into building those business?
Okay, I don't understand.
Okay. So the mindset that you had to have to build those business, just given your background of leaving school, working in Jack-a-Box, the transition that you had to have into opening up your own.
It was just dedication, baby. It was night and day working. And I enjoyed what I mean, you know, I can work I go on the roof, I can go from A to Z right now. I don't do it anymore like that. But no, because we were up to, before COVID, we were up to 400 and some employees with 8 restaurants and all the vending in the airport and all that. We have our own commissary and warehouse in Hapeville with a maintenance department. And I'm big on keeping extra parts and keeping the equipment up. So I have you won't believe this, but it's a lady that runs the maintenance department, and she got 2-3 guys that work for her.
Wow, that's good.
So, yeah.
Mr. Wilbourn, could you, because the journey to become an entrepreneur and the journey to success could look a little different. So could you speak a little bit on how to recover when your efforts don't quite pay off? You know, it's not, you're very blessed. And if everything you touched is gold, that's an amazing story. Is there any encouragement for those who kind of go that, you know, up and down, or trying to find their way to their sweet spot in business, like to recover from failure, basically?
Yeah. Well, it was like, I had the store here on Stewart Avenue, 1826 Stewart Avenue. It's down the street a little now. But my Venetian Drive store was, because what happened is, part of a third, probably about 40% of my market was Fort McPherson. When they closed the federal government closed the back gate, my business did this. So I went to corporate it was a land lease. I went to them and said, I'll pay the lease. Let's close this unit down. And they accepted my proposal. We closed that unit down, and I paid the rent until the lease was over. So you have to work your magic, I guess.
I guess piggybacking off that question, how was it for you during COVID? Because we had a lot of small businesses that end up closing down and failing, and you said you had 400 employees. Mm-hmm. So where are you now, and then how did you transition from out of what happened to where you are today?
We're probably at about 200 and something. But what we've done is we work with what we have and manage that, meaning time-wise. We're not open as many hours. Like at my Popeyes, we used to open at 6 o'clock in the morning and close at 11 at night.
This is Popeyes in the airport?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. And that's another story. Yeah. So the other thing is when I was also in the retail business with one of the largest vendors in the world now that started here. He and I and some more city council people and other vendors ended up, there's a young lady downtown at the Federal called Sally Yates. I'm blessed. She gave me 85 counts, and it was 4 other people that we had a court case that went on for, I don't know, about 10, 12 days. She even tried us on Martin Luther. She opened the courthouse up on Martin Luther King's birthday. And I was blessed to be the only one that didn't go to jail. I had 85 counts. And so after that, that's when I went in. McDonald's put me out. And then Russell gave me a store and 2 stores at the airport, one for ice cream and one for chicken. So I chose Popeyes. They were new to Atlanta. There were some guys from here that had bought Popeyes and moved the corporate office here. So the chairman of the board, a friend of mine's worked for them, was going to be at the Butler Street YMCA off of Auburn Avenue as a guest speaker. So I went and met him in line with the tray getting food. I told him, you don't have a Popeyes in the airport. I have a location. I have the money. I have the experience. I'm not going to no school. I'll send all my managers. And I wanted a deal on advertising. And I cut a deal in line. We shook hands. He spoke. I left. I didn't wait for dessert. Next morning, I opened that store, and that was the first one they ever had in the airport. And I'd been trained with McDonald's for breakfast. So they didn't have breakfast, but they had a great biscuit. So I used that to take it for the last, I've been number 1 and number 2 in the world for a lot of years with Popeyes from that, So I took my McDonald's experience and turned it into gold with Popeyes and became their number 1 store. And so, But I didn't have a problem talking to the chairman of the board, telling him and cutting a deal. That's what you call cutting a real deal. And we shook hands on it, and bam, it's still in play today.
And it's busy today, too.
Yeah.
So how hard was it getting into Hartsfield?
Well, you look up and you team up with the big boys that are coming in. Your Delaware, your hosts, whomever is some of the primes that need minorities, thanks to Maynard Jackson, that started that program. And now it's over the whole United States, if you can believe that. Every airport has to do that.
So you went from Popeyes to now you worked in a relationship with Coca-Cola. Right. So how did that transpire?
I was there. I had infrastructure, and I was there. I had the infrastructure. I had a warehouse, commissary trucks. So and they could see, I had already did vending for Coke at their world headquarters. So we knew each other. And then the other thing is, right now we have 5 brands, and I can get my call back from the president of any of these companies. Um, and that's not a brag, but it's because I've represented them at that level that they can be proud of and not be embarrassed that their brand, you know, yeah.
So every business has its downsides. And the business owner, like I guess there was a question that this young lady over here was asking, what have been some of your downsides? And like how are you able to deal with that?
I just try to stay on top of my game, period. Far as I'm a hands-on kind of person. I'm in the stores, I'm on the roof, um, I'm I'm in the back of the warehouse, I'm in the front of the warehouse. Um, yeah, I'm real hands-on. I don't got no education. I just like, you know. So you have to work with what you have.
So when I mean, so but like say some of your businesses were not doing as well. So how did you deal with that? So you just went in there just working it yourself?
No, you figure out what's the problem if you need to close it down. And then, like Venetian Drive. Venetian Drive, when that store, I saw the area, what had happened, half my trading area was gone. There was nothing, and the federal government wasn't gonna come back and open that gate just because I needed them people to come to McDonald's. So that was easy, bam, let's go.
So I guess your word of encouragement is that no matter how hard the hardships is in the business, you got to keep pushing through and just always look ahead.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out. That's what it is, you gotta figure it out.
So what would you say to the youth like of today, like they want to get a business going and like how would they go about getting a business started today versus how you got started?
It's basically the same thing. You go in and learn the business from the bottom up. Start at the ground. Start in the parking lot and work your way all the way to the front door. And then at the same time, you start learning about the SBA loans, learning about how banks, what they're looking for, what they need for you to be able to get a loan. And start sucking up to some banker.
Can we threaten them like y'all threaten McDonald's?
No, but they have to understand your character and all that, and I think, and that will help you along the way because if they believe in your character, then you can move on.
So you got to be present in the room.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess that's something that we all can learn. Is like you can't be too shy around other people, especially when you're trying to build something and build a brand for yourself. You got to be.
You know, offer to take them for a cup of coffee. You know.
You said take them for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, offer to take them for a cup of coffee. Let them know you're real, and that way you get to talk and get them off, off site from, and maybe they get a little more comfortable. They get to know you,
So where were some of the places you started at to meet some of these individuals?
Well, I mean,
Are you in this question?
no, what
I'm
happened?
sorry.
What happened is when I came to Atlanta, I just started meeting people. I don't have a problem meeting people. I can tell you, I can call another guy's name, Charles Kelly, a local guy. He was at CNS Bank at the corner of Gordon and right at West End Mall. And I went in and I was doing a side deal, a real estate deal, and I think it was $75,000, and he loaned it to me within 24 hours. And we still laugh about it today, but I paid it back.
I'd like to ask, with the nature of running successful businesses, the heart of the business seems to be the the employees, the people who are actually doing the work and representing you as you've represented some of these other big players. After COVID, there's so many complaints about people not, having good work ethics anymore. The climate is very wage demanding on businesses. Everything has kind of gone upside down. What would you encourage for those of us who are workers? We're working. We want to possibly have a business or have the vision to be more creative. How do you stabilize a business from the worker end? You have happy people who will show up and represent you. They will not try and, undermine you, because there's lots of stories, especially in fast food, of people taking food and, the service level isn't great, at least in my opinion at this time.
True. Well, as soon as that boat gets here from China with them robots, we're gonna see.
Oh, it's already here.
I'm joking, but it's serious too. I don't know. It is mind-boggling, and I don't know where we're headed, because as this stays and is still going that way, I don't know where our communities are going to go.
What would you say about the from the leadership standpoint? So like the store managers and the assistant store managers that are running the business, and they're having a hard time trying to maintain the workers' zeal to continue working when now, because of the pandemic, it's so easy to quit a job and pick up another one. So what would you say to that leadership team in order to keep them encouraged to encourage their employees?
Well, that is exactly what we're dealing with. We're of trying to keep them encouraged and not so stressed out. Because, see, in the airport, it's a different game. You 5 minutes late opening, you supposed to get a fine for $500 or $1,000, all of that. And then they're on us in a different way. And if I was on Stewart Avenue here, if I was 5 minutes late opening, other than cameras now, they wouldn't really know. So I don't know where our world is headed, to be honest.
How do you feel about the transition of some of these fast food restaurants adopting in robots?
I don't think they have a choice. I mean, especially like with the pizza places that I've seen is doing it very well, where you can make your order, the robot will make that pizza, put it in a box and slide it out through the door. Yeah, that's already here. Yeah. And McDonald's is doing a thing where they have robots that can flip the hamburgers. Yeah, that's here.
Yeah, they've already adopted some of that stuff right now.
So how do you think that will impact our youth with them learning how to work? So I know at 15, 16 years old, those are the type of jobs that the younger kids go for a job for. So because they don't require much experience. So how do you think that will impact the younger generation when they're getting their foot into the workforce and learning how to work?
They're going to have to stop playing games and go to work.
I'm sorry. No, you're right.
Yeah, all the games and all of that. And I'm going to go offline here, but I mean, it's like I have 2 sons. They basically don't want to have anything to do with the business. I'm like, okay, bump you. And it's sad, but, so, I don't know. You all are in charge. I'm going to the beach.
So what he's saying is the door is open for applications if y'all want him to be y'all stepfather. So how do you encourage the youth of today? I mean, especially with, like I said, I'm in technology. So I do encourage technology, but from a standpoint, I don't like when technology starts taking out like different jobs, because now we're facing Chat GPT now is taking out certain people's jobs, and we have AI. What is AI? AI is taking out like architects and graphic design. My son's a graphic designer, taking out work like that. So the youth, when they're trying to transition into workforce to try to get some form of experience, but there is no workforce because now robots are taking over, what would you say to them?
I don't know. I really don't. That's otherwise of going in and volunteering or going in and still trying to learn. There's still the need out there. There's still a need all the way around for all of this. So they just have to figure out a place and get inside the door and start learning. Because,
Absolutely.
you know, even down to, you look at automotives now, I mean, they are all being, you know, what are they doing in Michigan? And then the new plants and things that they're building, it's all automation.
Yeah. Now, sometimes you say some people have to work for free to like build up their experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In turn.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage it. Like some of you all getting started off, sometimes you do have to start from the, I mean, I myself had to do it. You have to start off from the bottom and volunteer some of your services out, because that's how you'll start to figure out how you get good at your niche and what you can get proficient in and what you might need to get some more experience in. So, I mean, you know, you're not going, because I know we all live in a social media age where we see everybody popping off, that, you know, everybody's on planes. You see the highlight of everything, but you don't see the struggles and stuff they had to go through before they got to that point. And that's the thing that I know I talk about, especially on my show, when I have people come, I like to hear people's story, because I want to hear, which is why I asked you that, the struggles you had to go through before you got up to that point, because we don't see that. Because if you understand that, then you know you're going to have hard times in business. You're going to have hard times when trying to learn stuff, especially in education, but you got to keep pushing through and understand that even over a hill, you're going to eventually make it to the top of the mountain.
Now, I'm going to tell you something shocking. Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson Airport. On Concourse D, Spirit and Frontier Airlines. You know what they have to do? They have to hire off-duty policemen to stay in their area because their clients fight so much. Oh, she's my witness. So what? So haven't you seen that? Have you seen that in that area? Okay. Yeah, and that's sad. That's 90% my cousins, okay? And I mean, to just disrespect everything, I don't know.
So as we wrap up, what would you say to the youth and old, like a word of encouragement, getting into business and overcoming the challenges of life?
Well, you need to figure out what you like and what you enjoy and what you works with your personality and your capabilities. I mean, I figured out I could flip hamburgers, I could fry chicken, and when I first went into business, on the weekends or in the evenings, I did my own book work. Before I had a CPA, I had somebody in an office. When I just had one store, I didn't need nobody to pay the bills. You know, I got one light bill, one gas bill, the rent, and then I turned it into my CPA. And that's another thing, is getting good legal, and accounting. Make sure your bills are paid, because when it all boils down and you go back to the bank and they were like, well, you didn't or you haven't, they can't say that if you hands-on.
Well, I want to thank ATC again and Dr. Seals for hosting this event, and Mr. Wilbourn for all the work that you've done and the community engagement that you participated in and actually being here today. So thank you again for coming out and all your work that you've done. No, we're not. No. So, no, we're still going. So the college, we still done? Oh. I know you're in a hurry, I know. So the college has recently developed its own small business development center under the leadership of Ms. Tammy Napier. The Small Business Development Center at Atlanta Technical College will provide students and alumni with the support and training needed to ensure their success as entrepreneurs and small business owners. The center will have its expert mentorship and coaching opportunities for small business partners and fellow entrepreneurs, network events, connections to financial resources, studio, and innovation space. The Small Business Development Center will be housed in a dedicated facility on the main campus with approximately 1,800 square feet of working space. So, Ms. Napier, if you're in the room, if you can stand. So if you all have any questions about that, feel free to approach Ms. Napier. I like your glasses too. Meals provided today by Chick-fil-A, so I want to thank you all again for being here. And also, potential Bank of America community outreach team will be set up in an auditorium to assist in any interested students in learning more about setting up their accounts with Bank of America. So thank you all again for participating here today. Thank you again, Mr. Wilbourn, and now we are adjourned.